Nintendo Switch 2 is looking awesome, and we got a whole bunch of new information that proves that this is going to be fantastic console. That includes features, accessories, and even a Nintendo Direct for some reason. Anyways, let's get straight into it. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 is looking really exciting, and Nintendo has shown us something that's truly special. You are able to use just a standalone USB mouse on your Nintendo Switch 2. So then, instead of using the Joy-Con or whatever, you can just straight up use a straight off the shelf mouse and then plug it into your Switch. Now that leads me to believe that there'll also be keyboard functionality. So then if you're playing Splatoon or something and you want to try it with keyboard and mouse, well then you can directly hook that up to your Nintendo system and then start playing with a keyboard and mouse. So overall, that right there is really exciting, and I hope to see more. Now, game chat functionality on Nintendo Switch 2 there's been a lot of misconceptions about it. Now, you will be able to full screen your game. So if you don't want to have all your friends' bubbles at the bottom if they're sharing their screen, you can just make it full screen for you. You'll just have tiny little bubbles on the side like Discord, and there you go. So that's pretty fantastic because then you can just play your game without having to look at their game and whatever. So apparently Nintendo's trying to work on their 14 frames per second kind of gameplay right there. But, I don't know if there's been any updates, but it looks like Nintendo's trying to update on how the game chat is going to be working, how it's going to be fixed, how it's going to look moving forward. They're trying to get it to at least a steady 30 frames per second, which is still pretty good for, game chat and stuff. So anyways, overall, that's pretty awesome. Now, in terms of Nintendo and Nintendo Directs, now, it's very possible that we could be seeing a Nintendo Direct in June, either the week before Nintendo Switch launch or the week after Nintendo Switch 2 launch. Now, that right there is really interesting to me because a Nintendo Direct, didn't we just get one around, it would be 2 months ago before the Nintendo Switch 2 whatever launches? So I think that we might see another one. It's possible. Maybe we could see new games and games that got update. Maybe like Elden Ring, when the release date's finally going to be. Maybe some more information on Donkey Kong Bonanza. And also for Mario's 40th anniversary. This Nintendo Direct could show a lot of things. And I think that right there is awesome. You can show from maybe even new Mario games. Like a new 3D platformer Mario game. Maybe like Bowser's Fury 2. But overall, I think that this is probably something that's going to happen, and it's pretty exciting. Maybe we'll even see things with new updates like Pokemon Legends Arceus, or even other Nintendo Switch games that don't have a free upgrade yet. So overall, I think that this would be a really exciting thing to see, and you could get excited for Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I think that we're probably going to see one after the Switch 2 launches because there's two very different things that can happen. The first Direct, right before the Switch launches, we'll see some more things about why you should buy the system. But why would they need that if it already sold out everywhere? So then if they do it after the system, we would see new games and releases and upgrades and updates for the system. So I think that we will be seeing it the week or 2 weeks after the Nintendo Switch 2 launches. Anyways, there's been a lot of more crazy information about the system. So every single button, no matter what you do, makes a noise on the system itself. So when you turn on the system, it goes boop. And then when you scroll over, it makes like a nice piano style little music. When you scroll over, it makes a boop and a beep and a bop. So, you can scroll over and everything you do in the system will make music. Now, you can turn this off if you don't want the music. You go in the settings and turn off sound effects. But overall, hey, it's pretty exciting that you will be able to do this. Now, of course, we already know that you will be able to use your own controllers for Nintendo Switch 2. That includes the third-party ones. That includes the first-party ones. If you already have a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, you only want to get the system in Mario Kart, but you didn't feel like getting the Pro controller, not to worry. You are able to use your standalone controllers for the system. So really exciting and awesome. So another thing that's cool that you might like. Now, this one isn't a feature, but it is a confirmation that Xbox is willing to work with Nintendo to release some of their games. Now, we could see games like Halo, Forza, or even games that have already been released on other platforms, Sea of Thieves, whatever. But it turns out that Microsoft is willing to work with Nintendo on releasing new games for the system. So overall, that right there is really exciting and awesome that we can see finally some more Xbox collaboration games with Nintendo, because, that's a big thumbs up in my book. Okay, so now, if you're still wondering about themes, now themes are a pretty interesting situation. We know that we're getting 9 gigabytes of RAM. Actually, we're getting 12, but you can only use 9. So what's that 3 extra gigabytes going to be used for? 3 extra gigabytes. I mean, technically, if music or something's coming to the system, that will be inside of there, but also themes. If the picture moves or the picture just stays there, that's also a part of it. So I think that just maybe we could be getting themes. It turns out that there is leaks for a black and a white theme. We already knew this, but a special theme. What does a special theme mean? Does this mean that we're going to be seeing something truly special, maybe for Mario's 40th anniversary? Yeah, so overall, I think that right there would be pretty interesting to see. Now, in terms of Nintendo and music, so music is a really interesting situation because you look at it and you're like, I wonder if we're going to be seeing music on the system. Actually, it is kind of possible. Maybe we can see Nintendo's own app, Nintendo Music, so then you can play the Nintendo music in different games that you want to. But overall, I would say, you could maybe look for music, you could maybe not look for music. It's completely up to you. Now, another thing that you should probably know before you start doing it is your game cards, your Nintendo Switch game cards. Now, those aren't actually running natively off the Nintendo Switch 2. So, about a month ago, Nintendo has confirmed that these are going to be kind of emulated off the system. It's not going to be using its raw power. It's going to be using kind of like a little boost, I guess, to run the game cartridge. It's not technically, using all the power. It's using an emulation device. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. This is probably why we need the patches for the game, because after you patch the game, you're not technically using your Nintendo Switch 2 for that game. So it's going to be pulling like a PS5 or a PS4 type of thing, where you have to download the game to the system. Now, this might be a little bit of a bummer, but I think it's kind of cool that you can do that. I don't like it, but I mean, it's okay. You can get your games and you can have fun with your games. So overall, it's really exciting. I'm really excited for it. Now, GameCube for Nintendo Switch 2 is looking awesome. Now, there's a couple of games that we thought that we would have seen, but we're not seeing so far. So, Mario Kart Double Dash, that was one of the big ones, but I understand because maybe they want players to play the new Mario Kart World and get excited and have fun for that one. But also, another game that's been, in the mentions a lot lately was Twilight Princess. Does this mean that we'll be seeing a Twilight Princess Ultra HD 4K kind of version? It's very possible. Very, very interesting. So there's been a lot of promotional materials about these games. I made an entire video about just Twilight Princess alone and how I think the 4K version is just around the corner. So very, very excited. So yeah, Nintendo Switch 2 is looking awesome, and I'm super, super excited for this system. And you have the right to be excited as well, because hey, it's looking awesome. There's a lot of features that I think are really, really cool and just perfect. So yeah, what do you think about this? Do you think that you're gonna be excited? You're gonna pick up a Nintendo Switch 2. You already have your Nintendo Switch 2 in pre-order, and you're just waiting for the next 12 days so you can play the Nintendo Switch 2. Anyways, let me know what you think about this, and thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy, and with that being said, consider to hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button, because we're almost there. We're almost at 1,000. That's it. And yeah, with that being said, see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day.